quotation that I was always looking for. We give, give, give until it hurts. And so far, we're at 66 sessions. We've had now 101 guest speakers, 294 members have landed jobs through AHF, and we have 2,700 plus members on LinkedIn, and that is still counting. On our LinkedIn GroupDen members, we have 2,682 LinkedIn company followers. That is 1,086. YouTube, we have 166 subscribers. Instagram, 91 followers. X, 25. Facebook 39, and TikTok is still rocking and rolling with 1. And I have still not fulfilled my promise to actually check out our TikTok, and I need to do that. I've written it down somewhere, but I have put it in my calendar as well. I need to get on that and see what it actually is, because I'm not TikTok savvy, and I need to become TikTok savvy, because as much as I cringe about thinking of using it, it is an effective social media tool, and a lot of people make a lot of connections through it. So I'll look in that as well. And without further ado, I would like to introduce Giselle. She is our guest speaker this week. She is a lovely woman, and I am excited, eager, and thrilled for you all to listen to what she has to say. I got to briefly speak with her prior, and not only does she have a lovely way of looking at exactly what it is that we do here and what she wants to do for us, but she has some exquisitely precise and concise ways to present that to you all that is going to be helpful immediately. So, Giselle, without further ado, you have the floor.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here and to be able to share with you all. Like I mentioned to Adam, I get to help and talk to job seekers on a daily basis. And my career advising and coaching started back in 2001. I actually went to school for hospitality, and that's how I ended up in Orlando, Florida, where I helped with the opening of the first 3 Universal hotels. But while I was doing that, I volunteered with a nonprofit here in town that helped people that were underemployed and unemployed. And I honestly just fell in love with that kind of work. And so I transitioned from group and convention sales for the hotels to becoming a career advisor at a local university in 2004. And in the last 20 plus years, I have been either teaching how to find a job to grads or mid-career professionals that have gone back to school to get a certificate or a degree. And so 4 years ago, I started my own coaching practice and get to do this more one-on-one with individuals today. And it is really needed. Today's job market is definitely unlike much that I've seen in the past. Since 2004 that I've been in this world, I feel like as much help as you can get, as much community. So I commend you all for being here, for, using this group as a support system and as a way to network with each other and learn and grow. So kudos to you for being here, first and foremost. Now, what I want to share with you all today is something that I find I get to share with every person that I come across. I actually, when someone follows me, I usually try to give them feedback on their LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is a way for you to hopefully be found while you sleep, right? Like a recruiter, a hiring manager can actually be looking at your profile when you're not actively doing anything, right? Your resume, you apply, you submit it, but your LinkedIn profile could actually be working for you. And that's what I want it to be. Now, let's say that doesn't happen. I always say that's the ideal, that someone finds you on LinkedIn and contacts you and says they have a job for you. The second most ideal scenario is that you apply for a job and the recruiter or hiring manager wants to learn a little bit more about you. And so they go to your LinkedIn because they're going to do it no matter what. I promise you that every recruiter will check on your LinkedIn because they can learn a little bit more about you. So what I want to do for a few minutes is go over every single section, because I feel like sometimes we don't use LinkedIn to our potential, or to its potential, when you're job seeking. So I want to share some of what you can do, maybe today, maybe this weekend, maybe, sometime next week, to update your LinkedIn and optimize it, like make it work for you as much as it can, because it's something that You don't even have to pay for it. You could have the free version and it still helps you get out there and get known by recruiters and hiring managers. So I'm going to start with the very, very top, the banner. The banner is actually a space where I see a lot of people don't even use any image. They just have that green banner that comes with LinkedIn. That is amazing real estate. I always say that even on your cell phone, right, you can actually look at someone's profile and a huge portion of the screen is the banner. So you want to use that banner to, first of all, put an image up that represents you or the type of industry that you are pursuing, the type of career that you're pursuing. So you can on Canva, for example, and for free, you can create an image that represents you or that type of work that you're pursuing next. You could, if you want to, in addition, add some keywords that represent how you're qualified for the job titles you're looking for, or maybe a quote or a phrase that you feel resonates with what you believe or what you have to offer this organization that you're applying for. Now, I want to just caution you not to fill it up with too much text, because sometimes I've seen people that clutter it with too much, and then people don't really know where to read or how much information, because it also looks really, really small. So just a few keywords, again, to snapshot. Like if you can imagine, if you had a billboard somewhere on the road, what would you say about you that represents how you're a qualified candidate for the types of roles you're applying for? Next, I want to talk a little bit about your headshot. So your headshot should be number one where you're smiling, because that makes a huge difference. Number two, go outside because natural lighting is going to be the best. And with your cell phone camera, believe it, nowadays, cell phone cameras are amazing. So with your cell phone camera, give the phone to somebody else. Don't take a selfie, and ask them to take a picture of you. And so ideally a blank or, just a wall background, nothing that's very cluttered or distracting, but just a blank background. And then take that image, and then from your shoulders up, you want it to just be your face, because what happens when I see pictures that it's like a half body or full body, you can barely see the person's face, and you want them to be able to recognize you. Next, we're going to go into the headline. So the headline is something that shows up everywhere. If you comment on someone's post, they're going to see your headline. If you share a post, obviously they see your headline. If you're recommended to connect with someone, so if I see your name on my LinkedIn feed and it gives me your name recommendation, it's going to give me the headline. So your headline should explain, first of all, what is the job title you're looking for, followed by 3 keywords or 3 skills that show that you're qualified for that job title. And then I want you to end it with a qualification or an accomplishment. So something ideally that you've done in the past that has a metric that shows how you're qualified for this role based on something you did in the past. So for example, you could say, fundraise $50,000 for, an organization, or it could be raised sales by 25%. So anything that has a quantifiable amount always shows someone what you've done versus you just telling them what you've done. After your headline, you want to go into the about section. And the about section, I see that people don't utilize this as much as it should be. It's a really great place for you to share not only what you have on your summary of your resume, but so much more. Here's the prompt that I share with job seekers that is super helpful. So use AI to help you with a draft. Please don't just copy and paste it because it's going to sound like AI, but I'm going to give you this is a great rough draft that you can use. So you say to your favorite AI, help me to create a very targeted about section for my LinkedIn profile that highlights how I'm qualified for, and then go ahead and copy and paste 3 full job descriptions of the types of roles you're applying to, paste it in there, and then say, based on my work experience, copy and paste all the bullet points from your resume, and then paste it in there. What you're going to get is a super focused and targeted about section. Now, it's going to sound like AI. So this is where I want you to just use that as a rough draft, go back and edit as much as possible so it sounds like you, add your own voice, your own tone, your own personality, and add as many quantities as you can. Metrics, numbers, quantifiable data is gold on your resume, on your LinkedIn profile, on the experience section, in this about section. You want to, again, show people what you've done by sharing some numbers. And so once you've got some numbers scattered throughout there, you've got a good kind of description of this is what you can do based on these job descriptions. It's got all those keywords, those skills that they're looking for. You also want to make sure you space it out. Don't make this into one big blob or big long paragraph. Space it out. About every 3 lines, you want to add a space. And if you feel comfortable sharing your email address, go ahead and share your email address at the very bottom of the About section and also at the contact info, okay? I would caution, I've seen people add their cell phone. There's just so many scam calls coming through today, and that I would recommend just check your email. Be really good about following up with your email, but I'm not a huge advocate of like shit because anybody can see your profile. Okay, we're going to scroll down past the About section to the Activity section. Now, this is another section that I feel like is gold because this is where you could really stand out. And this is where your LinkedIn becomes so much more than just your resume. The About section is where you can share a post or you can comment on what other people are saying. And so in these, let's say, posts, I would recommend, here's the goal, okay? The goal would be once a week, you are sharing something you're learning, something that's impacting the industry that you are looking for a job in, or maybe like you want to be a marketing representative. Like, how is the world of marketing being impacted by AI? Or how is the world of marketing impacting this specific industry today? And so share, whether it be, something you're learning, maybe something you've done in the past. Like imagine that you're in an interview and someone says, give me an example of a time when you did blah, blah, blah. Fill those examples. Those posts are going to be examples of projects you've done in the past, maybe volunteer opportunities you've shared, information that you're learning. Maybe it's a really great article that you read. Add your own thoughts and ideas about it. Don't just repost, but add your information so that they get to know you as well. So this portion of your LinkedIn profile, I call the living portfolio of your profile. Make sure that you're constantly adding information here because this is where they're going to get to know you. How are you different than everybody else applying for this job? This is a great place to show that. Okay. Now, if some of you are like, oh, I am really shy, I'm not really sure about this whole posting thing, then go ahead and find some individuals that are in your space. So in the type of industries and the types of companies you want to apply for, start by finding posts that are relevant to your type of ideal work and start commenting, but like really thoughtful comments. Don't just ask ChatGPT to comment on the post and paste it right there. No, add your own real thoughts, maybe add examples of things you've done in the past that relate to that post. Share, because what you want is someone to go back. Again, they can click on your comment and go back to your profile and learn more about you. And that's the goal. So maybe start there and you'll start seeing like you made a comment and that comment created like this longer conversation. And that gets you ideas on like, maybe this is something I need to post something about because it created so much conversation just with a comment I made. All right, the next section after activity is your experience section. Now here, I want you to focus on 3 to 5 bullet points where you can share how are you or what have you done in this specific job. And again, it could go back, I would say 15 years is good. And I mentioned that because I know some of you may have more than 15 years worth of work experience. And we are facing age discrimination. Some may be too young, some may be too old, some may be somewhere in between. So 15 years is probably enough. Only add beyond that if you feel like it's really relevant to the types of jobs you're applying for, that experience that's beyond 15 years. And then you can share that and obviously share more about that. But with your bullet points, what I want you to do is I want you to filter your bullet points through the lens of how can I share that this experience that I did for this job that was maybe 5-10 years ago is relevant to what I'm going to be doing next? Because sometimes we are going to share, very similar to like, this is what we did. And maybe we even put it in the order of like, this is what I did the most, and this is what I did the second most, and the third. But sometimes what you need to be sharing is what experience did you have in this specific job that relates to what you're going to be doing next. And sometimes you don't include that because it was maybe something you did once every other week, but it's still super important because you have that experience. And so I want you to look at your experience section because sometimes, again, like when we look at our resume for the 100th time, we miss the fact that, you know what, that's right, I'm not mentioning how this job and what I did then has to do with what I'm going to be doing next. So let me make sure that I'm filtering it through that lens. And one way you can do that is that same prompt that we use for the about section, run your experience through that and say, how can I highlight some of my experiences to meet what these job descriptions are looking for? And then obviously make sure everything is accurate, nothing's made up, but do that because it'll make your experience section so much more relevant to what you're going to be doing next. And then after experience, I want you to, under education, the only thing I've been recommending is to maybe remove the years of when you graduated or when you were there. Because a lot of people include, I was in school from this year to this year, or I graduated in this year. You can remove that. The fact that you have your degree, the school you went to, maybe some accomplishments, honors, things like that, but you don't have to include the years. I feel like, unfortunately, because of the amount of age discrimination I've seen some job seekers go through, it's just better that they don't have when you graduated from school. All right, next, volunteering experience. If you have that, share it. I know there's organizations that really do care what you're doing with your time. Everyone here that volunteers at AHS is super, super, AHF, I'm sorry. It's super valuable that they have that information in here. And then skills. We're almost at the bottom. I got two more. So skills, what I want you to notice is that you can have up to 100. Some people only share a few, but the fact that you have up to 100 skills that you can share, I have done the kind of skills that they're asking for in these job descriptions. Make sure that you're double checking that it's in your profile. And the top 3 out of all your skills are really important because if you were to go to the very top, there's 3 little dots next to messages. You can actually print or view on the screen a PDF version of the whole summary of your profile, and it only shows the 3 top skills. And the reason I bring this up is that sometimes recruiters will get a packet of like, here's top 10 candidates, and the only thing they see are your top 3 skills. And so if the top 3 are the ones that are not the most related to what you're going to be doing next, then they may not know that you have those skills. So just make sure you reorganize your skills so that the top 3 are the ones that are most relevant to what you're going to be doing next. And then the last section I'm going to talk about is recommendations. Recommendations is where other people are sharing how awesome you are, right? They're going to share how you were their supervisor, how you maybe were supervised by them, maybe how you were a great team worker, how your work ethic was spectacular. And so having others write recommendations for you is super valuable because recruiters are going to go there and read that. Sometimes I literally scroll down to the bottom and I check people's recommendations first because even as a career coach, I want to know, like, is this person going to be someone that I'm going to enjoy working with? Are they going to be a team player? You know, are they going to take advice really well? And that shows through recommendations. Now, one extra tip I'll give you on recommendations is that you can, by all means, give someone like a few bullet points or here's some, things that I recommend you share because maybe they haven't worked with you in 10 years or 5 years or even a year, right? We're so forgetful. And so for you to help them by saying, these are the kind of things I want to make sure you're highlighting in this recommendation will be super helpful. I promise they're going to be grateful, right? Because it saves them so much time and they're going to know exactly what it is that you are asking them to recommend you on, like what are the areas you want focused. And so do that. It's going to be super helpful for them. It's going to make it easier for them to, write that recommendation for you. And then in return, if you want to ask them, hey, would you be willing? I can write a recommendation for you as well. Just be always open to share if they're willing to give you a recommendation to do so. And, because they may not be job searching today, but maybe they will be soon. And so you never know, that recommendation can be helpful both ways. All right. Well, I want to stop for just a moment and I definitely want to give time for you all to ask questions, anything you want. It could be LinkedIn related or not. The one last thing I'll mention with LinkedIn is that I want you to think through I even in the comments, I've read a few of you share what are you looking for, what kinds of jobs, and I want you as much as possible as you job search to try to do a lot of clarity work and soul seeking, right? And figure out what are the things that you want to do most and try to narrow it down to one type of job. Because one of the worst things that I have heard job seekers do is when you ask someone, like you meet up with a connection that you haven't talked to, like I think it was Jenny mentioned or Kelly 10 years ago, and she's like, I'm so happy I was able to reconnect and all that. But if you connect with someone and you say to them, I'm open to marketing or accounting or HR, they're just going to not even know how to help you. But if you narrow it down to like, this is the exact type of role that I'm seeking, it honestly becomes easier for people to help you because they know what kind of companies they can think of that you might be good for, or what individuals they could connect you with that they may know in that industry. So that's my last tip on how to narrow it down. Even though I know it's hard, try, because it's going to help not only you, but others be able to help you. Okay, I'll take a break now so you guys can ask some questions.
Thank you very much, Giselle. Yeah, Carlo, you can go ahead and stop recording, and we're going to move on to the Q&A.